You have a master's degree in business, right? And you have a master's.
I have a bachelor's.
You have a bachelor's in business, okay? And
Management.
so, and you were working at this other job, and in your current job, basically in a human resources role.
It's not a human resources role. In my last job, it was more of a human resources role. This one, basically, I'm dealing with a lot of, well, it can be rolled. It's in a lot of companies, it is a human resources role. So I'm kind of doing dual roles, but with quality, I'm working to make sure we're following all the policies and procedures and the standards set forth by our grantees, which might be Ryan White, which is a United Way fund funder, the Alabama Department of Mental Health.
Okay.
So, and then I also, I have to do investigations and things are not being followed right, things and make sure it's going along with Alabama Department of Mental Health. So it's a human resources role if you're not doing right. Then I have to investigate and see if you're doing, then it comes down to termination, which comes down to human resources eventually, but so it can be wrapped into a human resources role, which is what I wanted to do initially when I got into it.
I thought so.
Human resource, and that's what I just knew I wanted to do. But I still want to do that, but just a little bit differently now.
A little bit different. Well, I know too. After you have bought the house, and you might have signed your mortgage papers and your resignation the same day.
The very next week, I stepped out on faith and was like, "This is it." Okay, because like I told you, I set a goal. I met that goal, and then I was like, "Okay, God, you're going to have to do the rest because I'm not going to deal with this anymore." So it was like the very next week.
That's right. So, and then too, after that happened, because I know immediately, you had the goal to leave the job, okay? But really, when you left that job, okay, and I can understand, because I was right there with you when you was going through all that stuff. There was a lot to contend with, but you left there not knowing what you were going to do. And I know for a minute you were talking about, starting some kind of business of your own for a minute. I know that came up, and I know that, for a minute you might have been making steps toward that goal. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and so what were you going to do at that time, and how did you?
I wanted to work with, like I said, I wanted to do solely human resources at the time. So I wanted to work on starting a business with home care. And doing some home care at the time, because I worked for a home care agency at the time. So basically, we were just going to be staffed with getting clients that needed like homemaker services and things like that, and staffing those with CNAs and home care workers, and doing that in the Jefferson County and the Tuscaloosa area. So I actually still that is not off my radar.
It's not?
No, it's not.
Right.
No, ma'am. I have a very entrepreneurial spirit. I believe in I'm a leader. I'm a leader by nature. And so it's still, but this time I'll be an RN when I go back to do it.
Right.
Skill care as well. We'll be able to do skill care as well with me being on RN.
Right.
So we'll be able to do not only the other services.
Okay, and I'm just making that connection just right now about that business that you were talking about, and you're becoming an RN. But with that business, did you move forward with that anyway? Did you get any clients? How far did you get into that?
I didn't really get very far because I saw that with the contract. It's only because of the contract. The state really wasn't giving a lot of money. A lot of those services are paid through Medicaid waiver. You know how the Medicaid money is right now. So per hour, I wouldn't have been making that much money. And if you pay people, you might clear $1 per hour. So that wasn't going to work. The skilled services pay so much more.
So, when you, and this is a problem that a lot of people have, okay? When they make a decision, and so you made a decision to do that, and how long was it before it became clear that this might not be the best route for you to take, and between that becoming clear and the time you decided, I need to do something else? Because some people will toil over that for a long time, and understandably so, when we got our heart set on doing something. Or are you the type of person, this ain't working, I gotta move on? So what kind of person are you, and what was the time span between you realizing that wasn't going to work at that moment and then realizing you needed to move on?
Well, I guess it was I got the job, like I guess the new job I have now. I got it about 3 months after I left my other job, maybe 2 months after I left the other job. And I was in that job for about 2 months, and I said, hey, this is not really working. I don't have a lot of time to focus on it. Let me stop and focus on this job because this really could be a good opportunity to, like I said, to make some more connections. So I stopped, I guess, about that April, because I started in February. And I said, let me focus on this job, which has been tremendous because that was the best decision for me to do so. I'm not going to stop this, not quitting. I'm just merely putting it on hold. So I stopped and I focused on this job, and I'm still toying in my mind with nursing. I had already started my nursing degree when I got out of school. I said, you know what, this may not be a bad idea because now with this job, I've learned all the rules and the regulations that I did not know, along with other things I already knew. I said, I'm just going to wait. And it's coming back around. Looks like this came back around. I mean, this has been 10 years since I had started with my nursing. Now we're back to finish. So I know I'm going to. Yes. Things are just usually merely put on hold in my mind, but they're always there.
So you started nursing before you started your degree in business?
Yes, I started working on my nursing course in 6 days after I got out of high school.
Okay, and why did you stop?
I decided, you know what? I don't want to wear scrubs. I'm gonna tell you the truth.
You want to dress up on the job? Is that what it was? You want to dress up?
I had finished all of my classes up until clinicals, like the clinical courses.
Really?
I finished them in like a year and 3 months. I finished them very fast. I was taking like 19 hours at a time.
Yeah, right.
I was young, 18, 19. My mind is fresh, And I said, I don't want to wear scrubs. I want to be a businesswoman. I said, I want to be a boss chick. I'm gonna tell y'all before boss chick got popular. And I said, let me just. I want to do something else. And then I got married to James. And then I worked a little while, and I said, okay, my dream is to go to Alabama. And I never forget, me and James went down to the campus. I was just looking around in amazement. I was like, oh my God, this is the place for me. And my husband said, well, we're gonna make it happen. You're gonna go do what you want to do. Yeah. And I went down there and I finished that in about 3 years.
You did? Okay. So and speaking about James, I gotta tell you, and I can tell anybody listening now that I swear this is probably the most supportive relationship that I know. Okay, I'm telling you, I used to date a guy, and I'm like a real queen with the wind. But one thing I really like about this guy, whatever I did. Yeah, he supported it. Even after he died, his family would tell me about stuff, and I didn't even know that. Well, why don't you get Sharita to do this? Why don't you use Sharita? She sells real estate. Sharita this, Sharita that. And I had no idea that he was telling that, but he really supported everything I did. And so you and James remind me of that. That's got to play the most important role.
It is. Yeah. He is my complete backbone. I love that man to the depth of my soul. We have been loving each other since we met each other at the mall. So your small love can exist forever. Yeah. I mean, if it was not for him, I couldn't do everything I do. Like if I say I want to do something, it's never like, well, you're not going to be able to do that, or are you sure? He's like, he trusts me wholeheartedly. He trusts me with everything. To do it. Like, you can do it. He believes in me. He believes in my abilities, and that's what makes me great, not me on my own.
Okay. And so when you get your nursing degree, you're gonna go back. It'll be a lot easier for you to do what you were wanting to do with the business. So is that gonna be your immediate goal?
No, it's not my immediate goal because I'm gonna attend Walden University and get my master's in healthcare management.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask you this, because I do I do periscopes, and a lot of what I talk about is people being in comfort zones. And I talk about overcoming fear, okay, as well as hitting the reset button of your life. So look, in all this changes, and I know, even though you have a good support system, are there some times where you're a little afraid to step out, or have you ever gotten a little bit comfortable with what you're doing? Not to make probably not that for you, but afraid.
Well, you'll be surprised. I was listening to one of your interviews from this morning. I was just trying to see how your interview was set up today. And I want to let you know I am a complete introvert. Yes, I am. I used to be shaking in my boots going to these different meetings and I just knew what I had to do, but I was
That's right, Janet.
and I'm always the young one. Like every time I get called baby, little sweetheart when I go in because everybody knows I was in my 20s. I just turned 30 this past year. And even now they go, oh, sweetheart, So I'm always very scared because there are all these older people in the room with me. So I got put on a board, selected for a board at UAB.
I remember that
in 2013. I'm in there with all the VPs, the vice president of quality, everybody at UAB who make big decisions, and they go, "You're this board is going to help us make decisions for UAB." I'm like, I'm only 27, but I'm trying to do so much, and I really want to. I'm scared. I'm just shaking, and I used to get in my car and just go, like that, because I would just be when I get out, because I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? I would be scared, and they go, oh, they'll tell me, oh, you're so smart, and you know this, and I know why I was there, but I was scared. It just took a lot of coaching in the mirror. I started putting sticky notes on the mirror going, you can do it, and just telling me, and then James pumping me up all the time going, you can do it, you can do it. A lot of inspirational reading, just believing in myself. Because I'm an introvert, I do not walk up to people and go, hello, my name is Florencia.
Really?
No, I cannot do that. No, I'll be like dodging you. I cannot do that. But I have learned, but over the course of time of practicing, I have learned to do that because I could not do that at first.
Yes.
I couldn't.
Yes. Well, we're talking about that, and that's really one of my favorite subjects. Talking about introvert. Did you know that I was an introvert?
No, I did not. I was shocked.
Yeah, right. But and people don't really understand it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you being, on that board. Okay, you were nervous about that whole situation, and what I find out is people don't even know until you tell them.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I just like I'm like and people say, well, oh, you're so good at that. People like I make it so easy. It is not easy for me. I have to put on my best game face. I have to practice. I have to tell my mind it's not that bad. It's not that bad. You're making it worse than it is in your mind.
Girl, you're speaking my language right now.
You're gonna be accepted. They're not gonna judge you. You just gotta go in there, put on your best game face, and do what you need to do. And so that's exactly. But it's hard because then I turn around and when I got this position, and the state of Alabama called and said, we want you to be on the board for performance improvement. And I go in there and I'm sitting there with every clinical director, every quality director, people over, JBS head director. He's like a really big wig kind of guy in the state. Right. He sits next to me. We're voting members. And I'm like, and I said, well, how do you know about me? They're like, oh, you were recommended.
Right.
I'm a part of this. And the state director tells me, you're the future of performance improvement.
Is that right?
To see what you're going to do. And I'm like, I'm like, me? Little old me? And
Lorenzo Richardson.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, little girl from McCalla? You know what I mean? Okay. But yeah. And so I could not believe it. And like I said, but that opened up more opportunities to meet more people and to grow in what I know. And that is what helped me step out of my comfort zone. I had to believe in myself first, then because I had to convince myself first so I could convince others.
Right.
I was already convincing others a little bit, not even knowing that I was.
You were just being you.
I was just being me as much as I could. And then now I'm just I'm welcome. I'm not turning around anywhere I go. I just believe in myself. I still have to talk myself down every time. Like, it's going to be okay. It's natural. Just flow with it, and it just kind of things are happening for me through God's grace.
Tell me about it. Hang on 1 second. I'm going to see if I can get Katrina in here. I don't know what's happening.
I'm like, yeah, where's she?
I don't know because she tried to get on once before when I was talking with Janet Tatum. Katrina, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to get you in. I don't know how to get you in. Can you hear me, Katrina? Let's see. I'm sorry, Katrina. I don't know what's going on. I really don't know what's going on. Yeah, that happened to her once before. I was trying to get her on when I was talking with Janet Tatum, and it just wasn't working. Her First, Candace Hill is Candace Kate Hill, and yeah. So so this whole comfort zone thing, I'm really big on that because I was myself for all of my life. People don't even know it.
Yes.
There's an echo of some sort. They don't even know what I go through when I show up. Okay, all I've gone through to show up. Okay, so and that's okay. And because and like you, when I get there, it's not that I'm trying to be. I just am, but nobody knows that. So being an introvert, and I have to tell, have you read Susan Cain's book, Quiet? What's it called? Quiet. The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking.
I have not, but I may need to.
Read that book. And so this is what I learned about introverts. Okay, because you got 16 personality types. You got 8 extroverts, and you got 8 introverts. So through this thing, everybody's different. Introverts are not all alike. Some of them so close to the spectrum being an extrovert, so you don't really know. But one of the things that introvert really means, what that really means is it has more to do not necessarily with your behavior, but how you respond to stimulation, overstimulation, being around a lot of people. Okay, being in a room and being in a room and not being there, only being able to be there for a certain amount of time before you're like, I got to get up out of here. You feel sad. Is that what it's like?
No, okay, I'm not the person that stands in the corner.
Okay, right.
I'm kind of like semi in between the center and the corner. You know what I mean? I'm like kind of, you're off to the side, but I still will, people speak to me. I'm going to speak back. Hi, how you doing? Because I'm not the person that goes, hey, how you doing? My name is Laurencia. I'm from so-and-so, so-and-so. If you introduce yourself to me, then I can open up. Right. Now if somebody doesn't, no one opens up to me, I really don't open up. Okay. Now, if I'm sitting at a conference, a table with everyone, I may try to make small talk so I don't just seem like seem weird. You know what I mean? Like the person that doesn't talk. Right. So I guess I'm kind of in between an introvert and an extrovert because if I'm approached, I can open up and I'll open up. I have to be warmed up. You get what I mean? Okay. Yeah. I come in kind of cold, but I have to be warmed up. And then once you get to know me, they're like, oh, she sounds so fun and she's funny. Yeah. But I have to be warmed up first.
Yeah, because you are really hilarious. You're really hilarious. You're really hilarious. But so, and speaking of small talk, and I was having this conversation at a gathering that I was at a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying, it's like, with us, small talk is like our brains are not wired for it. We don't do it, nor do we understand why other people do it.
Yeah, like what? And like, why are you talking? Like what? He talks a little too much for me. Like,
that's so funny. That is so funny. That is so funny. So, and then I was having a conversation online about, introverts and comfort zones, and I know sometimes people get a little offended when others encourage them to come out of their comfort zone, thinking that it's so easy. But I happened to mention this on Facebook the other day about something about introverts, staying in their comfort zone. I could tell by the tone of some of the reactions that they may have been offended. Well, I'm an introvert too, so I'm talking about me. But I know this is not across the spectrum because with millions of people, no two people are alike. So it's just like this broadcast here. Okay, so some of the things I might be saying, some people might not agree with. But here's the deal: we're doing this broadcast for people who will use the information that I'm sharing. Okay, if you can't use it, really, I'm not talking to you. So please don't be offended if it doesn't apply to you. Just disregard it and use the things that can apply to. Now, if you want to have a discussion about it, we can discuss it. Okay, but don't be offended by it. So she had responded, in a sense, saying, well, there's nothing wrong with being in a comfort zone and blah 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 blah, which is the general response that I used to give, because it was trying to force me to be out of a place that I didn't want to leave. She came back and said, well, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it, and now that you mentioned it, there is this area that I'm trying to work myself out of. So. You say that, so you don't approach people. Do you feel like that's an aspect of yourself that you may want to change for whatever reason?
Yes, I do. I want to change that because it'll help me professionally. I do a lot of things um, because always working on goal reaching. And in order for me to, just for example, with a business, when I eventually want to restart my business, I'm going to have to be able to approach people. With your own business, you don't start out with, most people don't start with a lot of money. You have to go out and market your business yourself.
Right.
So I'm any kind of marketer. I've got to be extroverted in some kind of way.
Right.
And then even in my professional job and the job I'm trying to build for myself, I've got to be able to do that, making elevator speeches, meet somebody, being able to do your 30-second elevator speech. You might walk up and see the CEO of some company standing in the elevator. You go, hi, he might ask me about myself. I got to be ready to give my elevator speech, and I've got to be in a comfort zone. I have to be in a comfort zone to be able to do that. So that is something I want to change. And like what you were saying with other people, when you mentioned that, you're only doing that to help other people.
Right.
Because what some people don't know, if you can come out of that your introverted mentality, you can really build something. Maybe a lot of people I think are walking around not building up things they want to do. They don't want to be a secretary all their life. You don't want to be an administrative assistant all your life or a regular teacher. If you're a teacher, you might want to become a principal.
Right.
But in order to get there, you got to make the right connections because you got to know the right people.
You do.
You got to be able to walk the talk and walk the talk and talk the walk and all that good stuff and get where you're going, even when interviewing. No introvert is going to go up how you've got to really be able to get in there and do what you need to do. So we're not trying to change anybody.
Right.
We're just saying you've got to get from point A to point B and be able to get out there and market yourself. You are your own marketer. If you're sitting around, if you're going home every day, you work that job, you sit there, you don't do anything, you don't go network, you don't network on social media. Any way to network, you're not gonna get to where you're going.
You're not gonna get to where you want to go. However, if you're okay, we're talking about people who want to go to another level, not necessarily people who are happy where they are. Okay, so I want to be clear about that. So also, I did the other day, a couple weeks ago, I was talking about in a Periscope that, understanding your motivation. Okay. What I was saying was, people spend so much of their time and energy, trying to figure out how not to do something or how not to go somewhere. Okay. When they can spend that same time and energy feeling how I can do this in a way that will work for me. And so it was very clear. I was very intentional when I said in a way that will work for me rather than a way that's comfortable for me, because comfort is the problem. Okay.
Yes,
problem. So when it comes to coming out of your comfort zone, you get all that energy off of your comfort zone and try to figure out how you can do this in a way that will work for me.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. So that's very important, and then you have to get about not necessarily in your case, you have to get about that background noise in your head. Okay, that's fear talking, and we know where fear comes from. We know where fear comes. We know fear is not of God. We already know that.
Coming from the devil, as your grandma said. Coming from the devil. Yeah.
So God always has your back. So in knowing that. So I think I'm going to see if anybody has any questions here. You can go ahead and type your questions in. Katrina, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on with you. I don't know what's going on with Katrina. She can't get in, but I tell you what, when we're probably done, I may come back and let her take a seat. I don't know what's happening here. So I know that's not okay, sugar. Yeah, I'm sorry, Katrina. So I really appreciate you coming out and talking about that. And I'm really glad that you shared with me that you were an introvert. But are your kids introverts?
No. Oh my gosh. Okay. Like I said, my oldest one just came back from her first sleepover this morning. She didn't know anyone there. I was also told she was the best behaved child, so I'm very proud.
Right.
But she just had such a good time. She met new girls, and that's another thing about me. Like me, I was raised kind of like, okay, you can go to your friend's house, but I didn't have slumber parties. They don't come over there. My cousin may come over and something like that. But I wasn't really raised like that. Right. So I want to raise her differently. Go over to people's house, meet people, go out. that's what I'm striving for my girls.
Okay.
Now my little middle daughter Lauren, she meets strangers kind of a little bit, but then when she warms up, she's the wild animal of the bunch.
Right.
But I want to raise them to not be that way because I believe we start young. A lot of people, older people now used to say, well, Grandma said, don't go in those people's house. Oh, they got this. Don't go. A lot of people I meet say that their parents told them don't talk to people like that. I'm not saying walk up to strangers, but I'm just saying be cordial, be inviting. I want them to be very inviting. And I believe they'll go a long way, and they won't really have a fear of speaking and things like that because they got to do all that, as they grow.
Well, so as a parent of extroverted children, so far as you know, because they're still very young, how does that impact you? I mean, you have to go. They have school activities, that some of them you may not want to participate in, don't feel like going. Of course, they're your kids, so you want to do that. But how does that impact you?
Well, I have to go and be warmed up. I got to be around other moms, and I'm like, well, I'm just married. I'm a lot different from a lot of people that I meet. With me being real career oriented, goal oriented, and all that goodness. I have to find different things to talk about, things that moms are always interested in. You know what I mean? I'm not your average like soccer mom type.
That's small talk kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to learn and really do the small talk, and they come in, what is she interested in? What does she do? And just kind of get warmed up to the conversation of, I'm a little nervous, but I try not to show it as much. And eventually I warm up and I won't have a problem. But it's just the orientation of it. First started, like last night when I met the moms I didn't know, but once I got warmed up, jumped in there, helped. We were still decorating for the party, like I told you earlier. I'm just getting there helping, and I'm just one of the mothers. I just have to realize that it's not that big of a deal. Just go in and be yourself, and everything was fine.
Right. Well, let me ask you this, and this conversation has really taken a whole nother turn. Okay, since your declaration. Okay. And I really shouldn't find that strange because according to Susan Cain's book and many others, 43 to 47% of the world is introvert.
Yes.
That's big, but people don't realize that because I guess extroverts they stand out for a lot. Okay. Then the other thing is people like us who don't appear to be introvert but are, and nobody recognizes that as us, and so they think that we're really this minority when we're almost really right there together. Yeah, exactly. So, but talking about that. Because when I first started Renew, Refresh, Reset Your Life, and last year I came out as the introvert advocate, and really one of the things, a major thing that I wanted to do, and I still want to do it, is going to the schools and talk with teachers about communication considerations for introvert students. Okay, so and your children are not introverted, but I'm talking to you as an introvert child growing up.
Okay,
what kind of experience was that for you?
It was hard. I was teased a bit, you don't really say much. I was always the good child. I was teased about my grades because me being introverted, I really didn't, I'll say from middle school on, you just sit over there, you're nerdy, you get your good grades. I was teased a whole lot. And I had to, my grandmother was the principal in the Birmingham school system. And she just talked to me. She said, "You're different because that's the way God wanted you to be. You're gonna be who you want to be. You don't, push that aside. You'll look back in 10 years, and those people won't be doing anything. Don't worry about what they say." And she just taught me to be comfortable in me, comfortable in my skin, and know that's what God had for me. She said, "That's your gift. Your brain is your gift."
That's right.
She said, "Honey, because you can't sing, and you can't dance, and all that goodness, but you're intelligent." And she's like, "You can learn anything," and I can. And I believe that is my gift. I believe that's what God had for me. So it was difficult, and I've always had kind of problem making friends because of that, because of my introversion and me always focusing on me so much, but
Yeah.
it's worked out there. Yeah, I try to, I guess I'm kind hearted and I'll do what I can for anybody. If you need me, I'm gonna help out. But I am focused on me a lot because I was kind of taught that way to kind of overcome, teasing and things like that when I was
Mhm.
young.
Yeah, and so that whole thing about, because a lot of people would deem that to be selfish when it really isn't.
No,
It
it was
really,
my
thinking,
coping.
thinking
It
so much
was
about
more of my
yourself,
coping
thinking
mechanism.
so much about
Mhm.
yourself, people deem that as being selfish, and what they don't know is that you're reflecting on at the same time what's wrong and what's right. What's
Mhm.
wrong is that
Yeah.
I may not fit in here, but what's right is I got to try to make a way. You try to figure out how to work things out. In your head.
Yes,
So they need
exactly. Like I said, that was my coping mechanism. That's how I dealt with
Yeah.
things by going on the inside. And I was like, okay, when time is appropriate, I'll come out. But right now, I'll just work on me since I can't fit in out here. I'll
Yeah.
go back into my shell and work on me, and I'll come
I
back
get
in.
it. Girl, you my sister, you my child. I'm T Rita, right? I am T Rita.
You Rita, you know it.
T Rita, you might be for real, girl. You might have T Rita. So
I,
So this thing about communication, consideration of introverts students, when you say that, and I went through the same thing. Oh, she's so quiet. Oh, she don't say much. Why you not playing with the rest of the kids? And so one of the reasons I wanted to get in school to do that is because when if you okay, and fortunately for you, you had a grandmother who told you, hey, just be you, be proud of who you are. You have your own gifts. You know,
Mhm.
growing up, of course, my parents, I mean, they didn't have a clue. Who knew? I didn't really know till I was 50, you know. And so they didn't have a clue to tell me that. It was always, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong with that girl. The whole family was always, I don't know what's wrong with that girl. What's wrong? What's
Yeah.
wrong with her? And so you get that from home. You get that from, in my case, you
Mhm.
get that from home. You get that from family. And in school, your
Mhm.
teachers, when you have recess, you don't want to go on the playground and play with all those kids. And they want to know why you not
Mhm.
playing with the other kids, or why you not playing other kids. So why I'm having this conversation with you is this.
Yeah.
Um, this is why I wanted to get into school because I think one thing they need to stop saying that because you can take a child from say daycare to kindergarten, always to 12th grade, comparing them to somebody else. Why you
Yes.
not? Why you not? Why you not? For 13 years, you want, at least for me, what is wrong with me? Why don't I play with
Yes.
the other kids? Why am
Why
I
don't I
always
see?
reading? Why?
Yeah.
Why? And you begin to question yourself. And when really nothing is wrong with me, my personality is just different than yours. Okay, so
Mhm.
I felt
Mhm.
like that was something that I wanted to do, and I think that's needed because I think were your teachers saying that?
No, because the teachers just really focused on the fact that I was a good student. They were just happy I wasn't cutting up.
Okay.
They told my mama that I was a very good student. I got most of my flack from the
From the
other
other
kids.
kids. Well, I know in
Mhm.
my case, the teachers would always make a point of saying, how quiet or and I did, I was a little rebellious for one I was unhappy, I think, because they were saying and
Okay.
I was a pretty good student, but I remember a certain period, I don't know if it was I think it was elementary school where I was getting bad grades, and they couldn't understand how I can get D's and E's and have ones in conduct, right? Have the highest grade
Okay.
conduct.
Yeah.
There was a conflict there. I get bad grades but good conduct. You know what I'm saying? They don't,
Exactly.
but so I felt like that. I've had people to say, they've gone to school with their children, and the teachers, the first thing they say, she's a good student, she's so quiet. So what?
Yeah.
So
So
what?
what?
So
Exactly.
what?
And now they're trying to call that, oh, they might have some kind of disorder, behavioral disorder. That's not behavioral disorder. I mean, kids are just
Kids.
different. Everybody's different, and you have to respect that the opinion of everybody and how everybody is. But a lot of people want everybody to be in the same
That's
mode.
right.
I fit no
Yeah,
mode.
right.
I am me. You know what I mean? I'm in my own mode. It's just I don't know how else to explain
Yeah,
it.
right.
I don't I don't fit into any category. I tell my husband this maybe why I have trouble making friends
Mm-hmm.
or people see me a little differently. My hair doesn't have to look the same as everybody else's. My clothes, have to be the same. I'll tell you now, I'm cheap. I'm good with my money. I don't. I'm not gonna spend my money on what everybody else spend their money on. I have goals. I'm gonna reach those goals. I get in my shell. If you don't fit into my shell, I'm so sorry.
Right.
I'm gonna do what I have to do. What is best because it comes down in the long run. I believe I say all the time on Facebook. You see me say the early bird gets the worm. People tell me you should be asleep. You have 3 kids. You have 3 babies. You should be laying down. You got a job. But I promise you, I'm up early when you're asleep.
Yeah.
I'm up late when you're laying down and you just got through your favorite TV show. But I promise you, I'm working hard right now so I can reap the benefits.
No, right? That's the picture that you see in front of you. That's that picture that you have to keep in front of you to really to keep you going forward. And so,
and the Bible tells us to write what you want out on tables and make it plain. Me and James have vision boards. We write down prayers for our family on the refrigerator, proclamations. We claim things. We speak things into existence. If you do not have a goal, if you don't fail to plan, you don't plan to fail. You know how it goes. You plan to fail, you fail to plan. So me and James really do that quite often. I remember when I saw that in the Bible, I thought, "Oh, this is even God's word." Right. You have to write it down, and then you go back and look at it. Okay, am I following that goal? Yeah. And a lot of people say you have to have an accountability partner. Me and James are necessarily accountability partners, but when we write something down, that's what we hold ourselves accountable to that. We have to have that, and we say, okay, we didn't meet that goal. Let us go back and follow up and meet that goal. And then we'll make some more goals for the next year. So it's not like we're doing it at the beginning of the year. We're setting our goal. We're keeping to it every year. Some years we don't meet our goals. But like a lot of financial goals we've had since we've been young, we started maybe like in our 3rd or 4th year of marriage. We started setting financial goals. This will be paid off. This will be this. This will be that. This is how we're going to do this. And we meet those financial goals every year. That's just for an example. And we set personal goals like for parental goals. We're going to do better with the kids. We're going to do better as a husband and a wife. All those goals we have, we sit down quarterly with financial and make goals. And yearly we make goals for our children. We make goals for ourselves. And we try to meet those goals. They're not always met, but we do. We do. And that's what holds us accountable about what we said because they're wrote down.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think everybody should try it.
Did you write them down? Do you journal?
No, I don't journal. I wish I did have the time, but I don't right now.
Okay. So, speaking of goals, because a lot of people set goals and they either don't reach them or they write them down and they expect them to have them
and they forget about them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, once you set a goal, I think that you have to be constantly walking toward that goal.
Yes. If you doing something. I believe that you should do something every day to make your tomorrow better.
I think you should. I'm gonna write that down. Write that down, somebody.
Write it down. Write it down.
Write it down. Write it down.
I mean, if it's nothing but reading something inspirational that sticks with you for the rest of your life, but do something every single day to make your tomorrow better.
Well, let me ask you this. So, and your life seems pretty planned out. You're very you're very concrete about your goals and what you want to do. How does purpose fit into your life?
From a child, I always believed that I was special. I don't believe that. Like I tell you, I don't fit into a mold. I just knew from a child. I tell you what, my daddy used to tell me all the time I was so special and that I could just do anything. He would just always pump that into me, and that I was different as well. So I feel like I have a purpose to do something great. I'm not mediocre. I know I'm great. I have purpose.
Oh, girl,
I've just been seeking this purpose for so many years. And so I'm here and I'm trying to live that purpose. And so now I really believe my purpose is to be in business, but there's something with healthcare. What I'm doing now, what I do now, I also do what we call our post-test education. And those are people who are living with HIV. I just started that a couple months ago. My supervisor asked me to do that, and I was open to that because it's kind of like doing kind of like
Right.
nurse educated. But I'm able to minister to people, and through that, and then when I start my home health business, I want it to be faith based.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be something where we can minister into people's lives and help people at the same time. I have to make my living, but I want it to have some kind of special purpose because I believe that's why I wake up every day. It's because I have some kind of divine purpose, and I'm great. And that's why I'm still here because I just believe it. I don't know what all it entails. I'm not gonna say until I know what all it entails, but it's great, and that's why I'm here. I just know that I was created for something great.
Right. Purpose. I happen to believe that if you found your purpose or everybody's purpose by design will help somebody else. Okay. If you think your purpose is something that's not going to help somebody, then your purpose is you. You are.
Yeah, your purpose is you. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I think when it comes to purpose, that if you clearly have found your purpose, if God has clearly revealed your purpose to you, then part of that purpose, the purpose of that purpose is to help somebody else. Okay.
I believe that your purpose should glorify God.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it has to be.
It should glorify God in some form or fashion. It may not be all the way, but in some way it should glorify God.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know. In some way, it absolutely has to. It absolutely has to. Well, so one thing that we have not talked about, we've talked about setting your goals, but we haven't really talked about obstacles. Okay. Obstacles. When you set out to do something and there's an obstacle that comes along, do you panic? Do you recognize it right away? Do you recognize that's something you're going to have to circumvent to get around to get to where you're going? How do you deal with obstacles?
I'll have my day of panic. Like when something comes up, I'll tell you, I may have to have my day or two of panic. I'm not a person who will broadcast it on social media or anything like that. I have my day. You just won't see it. And I kind of just shut down and go into my shell, and I'll cry and I'll tell James, "Oh my goodness, what am I gonna do?" And I have to pray about it. I have to just search myself about it. But I just kind of I have to work on it. I start making a different habit. I said, okay, it's gonna work. But I'm gonna have to take a different approach or a different way to it, because I really do believe if it's a will, it's a way. You're always gonna have obstacles, and in order to be great, a great woman, a great person, just has to be able to overcome those obstacles. So I have to have my day and just I re-strategize. That's the best word.
Okay, yeah. So does the obstacle ever stop you?
Momentarily, but not long. Momentarily, because I would say I'll have small obstacles. To me, they may seem small. They may be big to other people, but I'm just saying how I feel. A lot of people say, when I got pregnant with my last daughter last year, surprisingly, I had a little pain in my side, but it was a baby. I was like, I had just started.
And then you birthed up, and you still have that pain inside.
It's not my pain inside because I'm carrying all the time. Yeah, but I was like, well, I'm trying to do something. I just got this new job, and I really wanted to focus on this. But I re-strategized and said, okay, this is just a new motivation for me. Most people look like, she had a baby. Oh my God, she's got 3 kids now. She had 2 kids. Whatever. I said, okay, this is my new motivation. So some nights, like when I'm sitting up and I'm trying to study, and I have to study 25 hours per week for school. Okay, it's a lot of hours on top of working, on top of taking care of my kids. I say, okay, I look at sometimes she's sitting up on my lap, and I'm like, you're the reason why I'm gonna do this, because I want to never be able to tell my child no. No to a little doll if she wants something. Now I want to give them everything they need and some of the things that they want. I want to be able to take my kids, I want to take vacations I may not be able to take. There's going to be learning experiences for them. And I want to be able to, send them to college and not have them in debt. I think when I'm doing things like this now, I'm thinking about all of that. I'm thinking about their future. It's not just me. Yes, my baby's 11 months old, but I'm thinking about when she goes to college. I don't want her to be in debt or start. I'm thinking about all of that. I think about a broad picture. It's not just me.
Yeah.
They're all included in my mode. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
My husband, I'm working for him and my kids, and he's doing the same for me. We're creating this together. We're creating what we call our empire together.
Right.
I'm doing that
real
for
life
them.
empire. Right.
Yeah, a real life empire. Yeah, and I'm doing that for them. So I just take it and I use it for another motivation.
Yeah.
That's how I overcome.
I get it. I have that same motivation. I say all the time. You know, I'm doing what I do now, and I'm living for the day that I can pick my grandkids up from school every day. Okay, that's my motivation. So I get my grandkids every day. We can go to dinner, we can do homework or whatever, because they kind of nutty. They kind of nutty cool. You know what I'm saying? They kind of nutty cool. But I want to spend that time with them. I'm a little busy now. And I kind of hate it because, to be honest with you, I did the same thing with my daughter, trying to get somewhere that I never did get, and so I feel like I missed a lot. But I got a short time span now to get to where I'm going, to where the kids are still small. But so this morning on the stove, and tell me what you think about this. I woke up with these thoughts on my mind. I didn't know whether I was going to do it on a Periscope later on this week. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. So when it comes to people, being in their comfort zone or not doing what they want to do in their life, I think these are very important questions to ask yourself. Okay, are you being all that you can be? Okay, is this all that life has for me? Is this the best life has to offer me? So I think if people are asking themselves that question, there's something missing. Okay, and so for me, comfort zone or no, and I know everybody's different. I'm just okay. First of all, my name is Shrita Caden, and I didn't say that at the beginning. I'm founder of Renewed First Century Life. I am the exit strategist, and I help people exit out of their comfort zones into their purpose, passion, desires, and goals. And I'm not talking down to anybody when I say these things, talk about your comfort zone, because I am actually walking the walk and talking the talk, because I have my own comfort zones, okay? But every comfort zone that crosses my path, I'm moving it on out the way. I don't have time for that anymore, okay? I'm not being all that I can be. Okay, I'm going to be all that I can be. I'm tired of not being all that I can be. Okay, so for me, I just really had to get kind of mad. Okay, no, these conversations, I want so much, I want to do so much. I'm not being my best self, and then I went on to talk about excuses. Okay, and the excuses and excuses versus reasons. Okay, so I say an excuse will always be disguised as a reason, but a reason will always be followed by a way to do something. So, and I know personally that I have been in excuse mode, and in my mind, it was a reason, it was a justification. Do you do that? Have you gone to that? Have you? And even while I'm making that excuse, something in me says, I'm recognizing it's just an excuse. It's not a reason not to do it. It's just an excuse not to do something. It's not a good reason not to do it. So,
I guess what I was saying to you about when people saying that I had children. You single children, little Miss Molly, that's not that would be using my kids as an excuse, but I use my kids as a reason. And I know, especially with Black females, I love to boost our all girls rock, but Black girls rock especially. And I guess I want to tell them, don't use them as a crutch, an excuse to not do something. Use them as your motivation. Work harder. People say, "Oh, I do enough right now. I work 9 to 5. It's mentally hard on me. I can't do anymore." Push yourself. If you don't step out of your comfort zone, you're never going to get to where you are going.
Really are.
So you have, and then you have your job. You have hours. There's online schools. Anything you want to do, you got to step out. You got to say, well, a lot of people say, well, they're not going to, at my job, they're not going to let me do this. Stop. Wait, and this is not for everybody.
Right. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. But stop waiting for your current 9 to 5 or whatever you do to give you everything you want. Come from you.
That's right.
It does not come from them.
That's right.
You come there to
Right.
do for them and do what you're supposed to do while you're there, but give yourself,
Right.
do for yourself, and that's what people got to know. Stop waiting on people to give you anything. You're not gonna get it. You're not
From the annual raise that you may or may not get, okay, if, you know,
Right. That might be $40. You know, you might be $80 exactly a month.
I want to make it clear, because you and I are entrepreneurs, and have, like my friend Carol, you say, I can't kill it and it won't die. That spirit, once you get the entrepreneurial spirit, I mean, you can try to suppress it all you want, okay, but it lives. It lives. You know what I'm saying? So,
it's not gonna go anywhere. You can't.
It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, and I'm not saying that it is for everybody, because clearly it's not, and this is not any discredit to anyone that doesn't want to do that. But by the same token, if you're working every day and you're unhappy where you are, and you're grinding and you're complaining, about the hours, about the money, about the unfairness, whatever, then it's either time to stop complaining and deal with it, or stop complaining and do something about it. That's really important. And one thing you were saying about your kids, I heard Pastor McClure, get the name of his church. He and his wife were visiting a church around the corner several months ago, and his wife says, be the kind of person that you want your children to be. Be the kind of person that you want your children to be. And that was very significant. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep trying. You have to keep showing them the way. You have to keep showing them that you don't give up. That life is worth living. That you can be more than this. You shoot for that. You want this. You go for this. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very important to show your kids.
Yes, and a lot of people ask me a lot of times, well, do you want to go out or do you want to do this? I'm not a mother. It's not for everybody, but I'm not. I don't do a lot of partying or clubbing or anything like that. I'm not the short kind of dress type mother. I am a mother that is going to set an example. I'm trying to be the wife that I want I have all girls that I want my daughters to be. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you have to be very super modest, but just a woman of class. One of my people that I look up to is Michelle Obama. She's a woman of grace, of class, of sophistication. I don't want daughters that everybody knows out in the street. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I'm looking for them, because I believe if I'm showing them 24/7 every day of their life, they'll want that. I'm raising them in the way that they should go, and the Bible tells them. Right. That's what I want them to be classy, elegant women, and that's what I strive for myself. Everybody doesn't like it, and it's not for everybody, and you don't maybe not understand it, but I'm doing that for them as well, setting an example for them. Me and James really strive to be good parents and good examples for them.
And people, especially when you're an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, people don't always back you. Okay. And if they're not entrepreneurs, or they don't have an entrepreneurial spirit, they either don't believe in you, which they don't have to, but you don't have to talk about it. You don't have to talk about it. I'm not talking about you. You know what I'm saying? But people, talk about stuff that they don't understand, so, and then too, unfortunately you have a good support system, because when you branch out to be an entrepreneur, you're really on your own for a long time okay? And all those people that were there with you and didn't believe in you, they will surface when you finally get to where you're going. Not that they want anything that you got, okay? But because I don't know, for various reasons. I just they were there all along. So it's very important. And I'm saying that because for me, the support comes from people that I'm around, or people that I listen to. I won't say the support, but I will say the motivation and the encouragement. That's another thing. When you're trying to do this, you have to surround yourself around the right kind of people, like you were saying earlier. You know what I'm saying? About coming up with the elevator speed. What if you're in the elevator with a person you need to make a connection with, and then you surround yourself with all those people who are going to feed that energy into you. You know, as an
Exactly.
entrepreneur.
Well, and like my family used to tell me all the time growing up, two birds of a feather flock together. And you cannot surround yourself. And people ask me, well, you don't go out and do what, other people do. I have people on my job, say, but you don't do this. And I go, I can't surround myself. I can't be one way during the week and then on the weekend I'm gonna go out and club with, what I mean, or hang out in
Right.
low areas, things like that. I wouldn't want to do it anyway.
Right.
But you understand, if you're gonna be this way, you have to live this way all the time.
Yeah.
You have to become this person, in order to get to where you need to go. So, um, it just is what it is. You know what I mean? You have to just surround yourself with good people, people who are going to the top. Surround yourself with elevators.
Right.
Going to the top. And that's where I'm trying to go. I can't go to the bottom. That's not for me.
Well, very good. Well, very good. Well, look, I'm so glad that I had you on here. I'm so glad that I saw that post that day, and said, I got to get her on here because, I don't know that you know that all that I've done. I know, I'm a real estate agent. I'm certified life coach. I've had my own brokerage. I don't know what else that I've done. But,
I know a lot.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm gonna keep on doing it. But this really, I feel like, is the thing for me. I feel like this is my purpose because I've been in that same place where I'm trying to help people get beyond. Okay, I still face those fears that the people that I serve that they face too. Okay, the difference is like I said, I've gotten to the point where I'm just not letting those stop me. So before we go, I want to ask you if you first of all, if anybody has any questions, Marcel Radio Man, wow, congrats to you, ladies. Well, thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So if nobody has any questions, we're very open to that, and I'm gonna get Katrina back here on the show all by herself. I'm not gonna pair with anybody. We're gonna hang out as long as she wants.
Don't pair with anybody. I'll be watching.
No. The first time I did this, I had two people on here, and then the next week I had Janet Tatum and Katrina was trying to get on and she couldn't. And now the same thing. And then last week I had two people on, so I'm gonna have to go to Katrina's house and see what she's working with. Okay. See what she wants to do. Right. So before we go, yeah, right. I'm gonna call her when we get off of this. But before we go, let me just ask you: is there anything that you'd like to share? Any advice to any listeners about being persistent, hitting the reset button in your life? Exiting out of comfort zones to get you where you're going, and fighting fear. Is there any advice you have to tell anybody who's listening today?
Well, the first thing I have to say is that God has not given us a spirit of fear. And that's what I think about all the time when I'm trying to overcome things and going to different places and meeting different people. And the second thing is you cannot be content. You can't just be happy where you are. Push yourself. Step out of your comfort zone. If you haven't gone to school, go to school. If you want to go back to school, go. Stop waiting. There's no time like the present. You're getting older. If I'm getting older, you're getting older.
Yeah.
Go for it. Do it.
And I'm older than everybody.
You're not that old. But do what you have to do for you and your family.
Right.
The job of corporations is not to make you rich. A lot of people want to be rich. Ooh, I wish I was rich. It's not their job to make you rich. They want to pay you as little as possible to do the job that you do. And they want to keep you there for 35 years. You're not going to have any money by the end. You'll have that check. Focus on your goals. Be a goal builder all the time. I'm a goal digger. GOAL digger. I'm always thinking of something. I'm laying in bed at night thinking, what else is that I can do? I got to do more. So always in your mind, keep your mind going. Keep your mind turning about what it is that you can do to become better, the connections you can make. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, get you a LinkedIn account. Make those connections there. You'll meet people that you don't even know. You might be able to call on one day. You might be on an interview panel. But just push. If you want to do another kind of job, do that. Just get out today and tomorrow and plan something tonight and do something on Monday to get that ball rolling for yourself. Just do it and step out on faith.
Step out on faith. Girl, how old you say you were?
I will be 31 in August. I am 30 years old.
Well, listen, and speaking of LinkedIn, and I'm not necessarily trying to wean myself off of Facebook, but I haven't really taken the time to learn Twitter and to learn LinkedIn in the same way that I'm familiar with Facebook. And one thing that has been on my mind here lately about Twitter and Facebook, of course, on Twitter, people will just, they'll follow you, they'll follow you. Some will follow you intentionally, and then others will follow just so they can, sell you something. But then on LinkedIn, and really Twitter too, but particularly on LinkedIn, I'm paying more, they're more intentional on LinkedIn, I think. And so one of the things that I began to notice, and I haven't been responding to this in a way that I should, and I'm really just thinking about this. On LinkedIn, you really need to pay more attention to the people who are connecting with you. Okay, like a CEO of this, a recognizable company. Like Bob Berg connected with me on Twitter. You know Bob Berg, the Go Giver?
No.
Yeah, you know the book, The Go Giver?
Yeah, but I've heard his name. But
he connected with me on Twitter. I was like, oh wow, that's cool, But so I'm beginning to pay attention to the people who I don't make a lot of connections. I don't actively make a lot of connections on Twitter, on LinkedIn, because I want to familiarize myself with that platform. But what I have been paying attention to is the people who are connecting connections with me, and when I look at how does that tie into what I'm doing? And it actually does tie into what I'm doing. So I need to start building relationships with those people or start communicating with them in some sort of way. Okay.
Well, I'm going to say this too. Of course, I'm not any form of fashion paid spokesperson of LinkedIn or anything. They're not sending me any money. But you also can use LinkedIn as an electronic, almost like resume. A lot of human resources people now like to see something electronic. You offer with LinkedIn, you can offer your face, your education, your life experiences. Yeah. You can also upload things that you created at work. Yeah. Your boards you sit on, your organizations you support, and things like that. So definitely you can hyperlink that into a resume, and people can really see what you do. What you do is just not your resume, so that can boost you to the top as well too.
Yeah, it can, and now that I think about it, all of your social media, even if you're not actively looking, you need to consider your social media face. Your social media.
And I want to say thank you to my mother-in-law who just commented, and she's so proud of me.
Oh, good, very good, very good.
And she is another part. Her and my mother are both very a big part of my support system. My father-in-law.
I see that all the time.
They support me, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, very good. So we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody that tuned in. I especially want to thank Lorencia for showing up and being such a positive spirit, sharing with us what motivates her, even when she doesn't feel like being motivated, even when she loses her sight for just a minute or has a setback or obstacle, and not letting that obstacle stop her. I always say that obstacles are designed, they happen every day, and they're designed for you to go around it to get through it some way. But distraction, there's such things as intentional distractions, and intentional distractions are intended to stop you. Okay, so, and you have to recognize the difference between the two. But if it's just an obstacle that you face, if it's just an obstacle, go around it, go around it and get through it some kind of way. Okay, so you say, okay, so this is happening. What do I need to do? How do I get beyond this? That's with every obstacle. That's the question. How do I get around this?
And that's the question you have to really ask yourself of things that you can do to get around it. If it's your kids, who can you ask to help you out, or if it's anything you're facing, just if it's a financial situation, there's avenues, there's grant money, anything. You just have to ask yourself, what can I do? There's a way. The best thing you can do is write it down. Write it out.
I'm telling you to write it down. To write it down. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Well, I see your peeps over here saying how proud they are of you and how much they love you. Oh, yeah, you're welcome. It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure to have her on. And I tell you, one thing about this Renew Refresh Essential TV is that, you know, not only do we want to share people's story about how they get through and how they make decisions and how they overcome, you know, whether it's a comfort zone fear or whatever, or hitting that reset button, you know, we want to, you know, come back later on and say, well, you know, you were here now. So we're going to be talking to you again in the future when you've gone to another level so you can tell us about that experience, okay?
I will be happy to. I'm excited.
All right, thank you. All right, we're out of here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Bye.
Bye-bye.